Listen, if you cannot see me, I cannot see you.
Let's go!
Hey guys, this is Franny Tyner. I'm here to announce week 1 of Vlog Cherubs 2009. And this week's question is, what is one good trait that every journalist should have?
I think that a good journalist should be tenacious because a journalist has to be determined enough to go out and get the right sources for the story and to make the story the best it can be.
Well, you know, I'm glad you asked that question because the most important quality that a journalist can have is curiosity. Because if a journalist doesn't have curiosity and doesn't ask that, how can this be? Then they can't find the nuances of the story. They can't find what makes the story so special.
I think a good journalist should have an infatuation with words because it's up to us to express stories and how they happen. And if we don't have the tools and the love to do that, then we're not going to get our stories across to the public.
A good journalist should always have speed because you have to rush to get all the best sources and, of course, meet all those tricky deadlines.
I think every journalist should have the quality of being fab. Fair, accurate, and balanced, because often journalists don't report both sides of the story, and I think that's a very important element.
A good journalist needs to be persistent because even if someone turns you down for a story, you still have to get the story, so you have to keep going out and trying to get sources that will help you.
A journalist should always have good manners because a source is more likely to be responsive to you if you're being courteous and respectful than if you're being pushy and rude.
One trait all good journalists should have is to be able to ask good questions because a journalist is only as good as their questions.
One trait that every good journalist should have is curiosity because the main tenets of writing an article, you have to answer who, what, where, when, and why. So if you don't care about the answers, there's no point in writing it.
Every good journalist should be ready to go at all times because you never know when a story might come your way.
I think the most important quality is honesty because the main goal of a reporter is to report the news, and if they can't report it accurately, then they're not doing their job.
The most important trait a journalist should have is an open mind because you have to be able to write a story objectively, so you have to see all sides.
Journalists need to have a lot of different traits. They have to be smart, witty, willing to ask any question, but most of all, they have to be ultra annoying.
I think every good journalist should be able to tell the truth regardless of trying to make something look sensational.
I think any good journalist should realize that they can never be completely unbiased. Everybody has a context that they come out of, and to be aware of what that context is and be aware of what their biases are, and then that will make them a better journalist.
That a journalist should be fearless. They shouldn't be afraid of what anyone has to say about their work.
Honesty. Without honesty, journalism, I think, would be a big void. One of the most important traits I feel a journalist should have would be honesty. I think there's a lot of that lacking in reporting today at all levels.
Every journalist should have heart. They should have the heart to care for the stories that are not told but need to be told, but also heart to not share the stories that should not be told.
I think every journalist should be determined. In order to get a good story, you really have to go out there and investigate and ask questions and be determined to make your writing the best it can be and most direct.
I think that the one quality that every journalist should have is brevity.
I think every journalist needs to be fearless because you can't be afraid to approach random people on the street and ask for interviews.
I think one good quality every journalist should have is a curiosity to learn about the world and be able to use that curiosity to inform others about what's going on in the world.
I think every good journalist should definitely be creative because you're writing so many different kinds of stories, whether it be an editorial, a feature, or a news story. And other than news, you usually have to take a creative spin or a different kind of angle. So you have to be creative to find those different angles and different ideas for your stories.
Every journalist should be curious so that they can ask the best questions and find the best stories.
I think that every good journalist should be confident and insensitive to what other people think of them
because a lot of people really hate reporters and they need to go on doing their job anyway.
One good trait that every journalist should have is curiosity.
I'm Kimmy from Weston, Florida, and one good trait that every journalist should have is persistence.
A good trait every journalist should have is good communication skills.
I think every journalist should have a big network of friends.
Every good journalist should have good listening skills.
To see this video and more, go to www.clubvlog.blogspot.com. And next week's question is, should we give people the news that they need or the news that they want?
No, it's recording me. What is it doing?